The past 2 years were weird. A lot happened, and I mean a lot. I launched HD Video, started working on Project Resolver, we won a grant, we showed at a convention, won second place in a game jam, made 2 games, no, neither were Project Resolver. We launched a TikTok account, I came very close to dying, and caught COVID immediately after that. Then the year changed. Then we kind of shelved Project Resolver for now. We kept working on one of the games that year and accepted another grant, showed at 2 conventions, created a single player demo for that game, and then the year changed again. These past 2 years have been eventful, to say the least. Well, welcome back to HD Video. So let's take it from the top. The last HD video that came out was in March of 2021. At that point, Resolver's development ramped up. We had a working movement pre-prototype that I was showing around and testing with friends. I only iterated on it about 3 times and expected to make another devlog around April. And at this point, I had about 3 more HD videos in production. And all I needed to do was finish them and release them. Well, I got burnt out and lost motivation to do anything regarding Hamra. I mean, depression hits us all, and it hit me hard in that May. I felt like shit not finishing those videos, but the depression made me lose all interest in making videos in the first place. It was kind of a self-fulfilling cycle. I work at a school when I'm not the head of Hamra, and summer break was coming up around that time. I thought that I was going to make sure that I was going to get into the Game Developers of Color Expo with Project Resolver. I was going to make sure that all summer break I would work on Resolver to get into GDOC and have people take notice of Hamra Digital. End of May, all through June, I write the story beats to Resolver, I make hella promo art, I model and rig the main character, tweak the movement a bit more, and then July hits. I go on vacation to take a much needed break away from everything. And by the way, single-handedly completing a yearbook is a lot harder than anyone will ever let you know. Anyway, back when I was applying for Game Devs of Color Expo, I also applied for this opportunity with Playcrafting for the Graffiti Games event at PlayNYC. Well, that same first week of summer break, I got rejected from GDOC and accepted to Graffiti Games. Well, there goes Resolver development over the summer. All things considered, I can't thank GDOC enough for the rejection. I was nowhere near ready to be on any sort of stage, even if I gave it my all. But now, I have a whole new game that I have to make. The theme for the 2021 class of Graffiti Games was a return to playing together. Resolver, being a single-player platform, couldn't cut it. Thankfully, I reached into my bag of ideas, and we made this. This is the first prototype of Big Boss, an asymmetrical fighting game where you get to play as the mighty heroes tasked with defeating the final boss and saving the world. Or you can play as the boss and wreak havoc on those who oppose your rule. It was a fun project to put together, and because the project was funded, I was able to employ some of my friends of mine. This is Pavel. He's number 2 here at Hamra. He's a killer at Maya and a rigging mastermind. Now, why would I need a 3D artist on this 2D project? We rigged and modeled all the bosses in 3D and rendered them with flat colors, no anti-aliasing, and as low as a resolution as possible. I did all the sprite work of the heroes traditionally, however, and on top of that, I also built the backend myself. I know I was using Unreal Engine for Resolver, however, I couldn't deny that I was more comfortable with GameMaker Studio 2. I had my hiccups and hurdles, and especially on days before the due date, but I persevered, and I finished the project about a day before I needed to. Thankfully, developers from Rockstar Games was advising us on the project every step of the way, and I used their input every step of the way. Shout out to Gary, shout out to JD, shout out to Josh, all of them over at Rockstar, they're cool as hell. Now, I've got a game, I've got the art, I need the music. This is where my good man Victor Grand comes in. He made an entire soundtrack to Big Boss, and even some soundtracks that didn't even get into the game. He went above and beyond, and honest to God, tied the entire project together. I cannot thank him enough for his work. If you're looking for a composer, Victor Grand is your man. So, now we're complete. It's showtime, and I printed out some of those draw your hero cards for an in-booth interactable while people waited to play or after they played, and a small survey on the back for emails and the newsletter for a controller giveaway. We had a blast, met some great developers, made new friends, sang karaoke, and after it was all said and done, we went home. And I was burnt out completely. August is my birth month, so I said I'm taking all this off, and by September I'll be more motivated to get back on working on Resolver. So that's what I did. I played a whole bunch of games that I missed out on, and I had a blast. There was a slight problem though. That motivation that I was waiting for, it never came. September came, then October, then November. I had waited 4 months for any sort of creative push that I never got. I wanted the energy that I had for Resolver in May, and I never got it. And then December hit. On December 3rd, I had a severe asthma attack that put me into cardiac arrest. And the EMTs had to administer CPR for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a long-ass time, and it's especially important in this case. If the brain doesn't receive oxygenated blood in 10 minutes, it starts to decay. I'm lucky to be alive right now, let alone in the condition that I'm in. No tissue scarring, no brain damage. During my week in the hospital, I aged like 10 years. And, being from Brooklyn, we New Yorkers usually move way too fast through life. Way too fast to appreciate the sun, the wind, the stars, the grass, the trees. I'm happy that I can now. Before the event, I kind of went through life saying, well, we're all going to die eventually anyway. Why waste my time doing things I don't want to do? In hindsight, it's dog shit philosophy. I still think that time is the most important resource we have, but it's also about how you use it to prolong it as much as you can for those who can't. So about a week after I get out of the hospital, I enter into the Dev EXP Game Jam with the Coexist Game House. They partnered with Mojang, Logitech, Challenge, Decoy Games, and the best part was that the winner got $1,500. I was going for that $1,500. I was doing everything in my power to get that money. I built a team of 7 people and we worked on our game, Jettison, for a week straight. First time leading a large-scale project, and I'm so thankful for the people that I've met. Trevor, Entis, Zeus, Mark, Loki, Pavel, and I made this fast-paced third-person shooter that I thought up of when I was reminiscing on Guns right before the cardiac arrest. Guns the Duel. We cut a lot of planned content from the game due to time constraints, but we did end up in second place and won the award for best music. So that takes us into 2022. We were still working on both Jettison and Project Resolver. However, once February came around, I noticed that I wasn't working as much as I should be. Working from home is not all cracked up as people make it, especially if you're immature. Constant distractions lead to no progress. Anything that I was doing was going towards Project Resolver. I kept trying to work on Goblin, the Resolver's main character, and a lot of time was wasted. May came around and about 4 months were wasted away. At this point, I decided to refocus back onto another game we had created, similar to how Radar Jam came about. Thankfully, that's when Pavel told me about the Magic Incubator, an incubator that grants recipients $10,000, no strings attached. That piqued my interest, so I was trying to figure out what I needed to do in order to apply. Well, they wanted a game with a proper prototype, so Project Resolver couldn't really be in the discussion. And as much as that hurt me, I've learned to keep it in the back of my mind. Jettison was next up, but I wasn't using Unity well, and it certainly isn't my forte. Additionally, that project wasn't necessarily acting on our strengths, so further development was kind of out of the question. So that left our old friend Big Boss. If you've been watching the channel or following on TikTok, you would have seen their teaser trailer for Big Boss. The game does not look like that anymore. All right, don't look at that. Stop. Avert your gaze and behold. Okay, I know it looks relatively the same, but it's still pretty sweet. The canted flooring allows us to try more enemy designs and types, and the art is far more cohesive, and it actually relatively holds a style. Even then, this is still not done. Okay, you can look away now. So we got accepted for the grant, and with an actual build ready from PlayNYC the year prior, we tried to get into GDOC again. but there was no shot. But without pressure, we kept at the game, and now with even more funding, we got the crew back together. And with newfound hope, we continue to develop Big Boss into a roguelike experience as a villain simulator. Believe me, there's a lot happening on the Big Boss front right now, so just keep your ears peeled. It's challenging to be so diversified on projects, but I'll go over what's going on in another HD video. I'll also be talking about Radar Jam Postmortem in its own separate video, and a whole bunch of other videos that you don't want to miss out on. So please stay tuned, and feel free to subscribe, especially if you've made it this far. It means a lot to me and the team, and that's pretty much it. My name is Matthew Hamilton Rue. Thank you for your time.